Hello, hello, hello. Coach Tay back here again with another individual analysis, an individual VOD analysis here. This time we're going to take a look at Canyon. He's regarded as one of the best junglers in the world right now, but he also happens to be on one of the best teams in the world as well. With that being said, we're going to take a look at his Zhao. It is touched in 11.14, the Zhao pick, but in pro play, it's just going to get on to 11.13, so there is going to be a lot to say in terms of how this pick is being utilized. In pro play, not really as much as in solo queue, but it will still be strong. I think all they really did is taper off the W cooldown as you increase the levels. So it's the cooldown's gonna be a little bit higher. But I don't really think it does too much. The initial clear is perfectly fine, and the reasons why you pick him are still very, very relevant to the cooldown. Is still irrelevant to the nerf. With that being said, we're going to get into Zhao and why it's so important to take a look at this VOD in particular. Zhao is very, very nice with the current meta, especially when you're dealing with a lot of assassins, a lot of topside skirmishers, things like Viego, things like Silas, things like Akali, things like Nocturne, things like Lee Sin, things like Gwen. I'm probably missing Arset, that one as well, but I'm probably missing one or two there. But with that being said, we also see a Lulu, and Lulu is getting into the meta as well, especially when you're dealing with carry junglers like Viego, like Zhao, that are going to be able to get buffed up earlier on, and the damage spread is very nice. You don't want to mix a Lulu with a Diana, for instance, whereas you could mix it with a Zhao very, very nicely, or a Viego. Um, with that being said, for this game in particular, we're going to try and dissect his early game decisions, roughly the first 10-15 minutes. And we will obviously start with draft. We will start with the 5v5 and what coincides, what lanes coincide with what priority and whatnot. So starting with top side here, Lulu into Silas. Lulu does hard win that, especially level 1. Things get a little bit more trickier when both champs hit level 3. Silas sustain mixed in with the E damage and whatnot. You're going to be dealing with a champion that has a little more threat than what Lulu might like, although Lulu has a very, very nice time dealing with the Silas if the lane is played out properly. But for all purposes, all sakes, and all the purposes, and all the whatnot in the world, Lulu's going to get priority in this lane. And then we're thinking about mid lane here. Viego is going to hard push in the Akali level 1. This matchup's a little more volatile, and especially in your solo queue games when you do see two melee matchups that probably won't be piloted by pro players or Korean challengers for that matter. These type of lanes do tend to go back and forth in lower elo. So it's really important to note, if your game plans do revolve around these champions, you should always, always, always be paying attention to what's going on, because Viego should push this lane in, but that's only if Viego is intending to do so. Viego can absolutely, especially with the Q poke, but also the Q on the wave. No resources, no mana, compared to an Akali who needs to wait because of the high cost on the Q. Is very important to note, okay? And if it's not utilized, for instance, the Viego just doesn't seem to want to push in the wave, it's something that you do want to take a look at, okay? And then bot lane goes back and forth. When you're thinking about ranged matchups, in the support position, you have to get really creative and you have to get really in depth with how these matchups work. Now, if you're just hitting the wave as is, I think Ezreal Bard has an easier time pushing in the lane, but that doesn't take into account the trades and how they operate, because Soraka has a lot easier of a time trading and poking. It's one of the reasons why Comet was taken in this lane. And so even though Ezreal and Bard might be able to get push, Varus and Soraka should do their best to try and get some sort of HP advantage if they want to contest the wave and just purely look at the wave, okay? So it's going to be back and forth here as well. So if you're in either jungle's position here, you want to always be looking at bot lane and see what's going on, because there's going to be a lot of action in terms of HP and in terms of trades and whatnot, okay? But for all sakes purposes, like we were saying before, and I'm getting that saying wrong, my apologies. we should expect Ezreal Bard to get the push if Soraka is landing or is not landing poke and is not trying to actively look to poke, and then Varus with E. It mainly revolves around if Soraka can land the poke. Okay. So as we can see here already, they are looking to 5-man invade. Quickly note the ruins. Nothing too out of the blue. You can take Conquer. You can take Hail Blades. Hail Blades is a little bit better if you're just all ending on the early game. But here you're the only front line. Conquer is very nice. You can stack it up relatively easily, especially with these champions in their top side. But that being said, Tenacity versus Alacrity. In this game, they only have two forms of CC, of hard CC, that you can actively utilize Tenacity with. But you're the only frontline in your comp, which means that if you're just stun locked, it's just not going to be as useful. Whereas you could utilize a Ruin and some boots, and you're going to have like an insane amount of tenacity, okay? But also, your Lulu wants to buff you up, your Soraka wants to make sure you're kept alive. You want to be DPSing as much as possible. Although you do have Akali and you have Varus, you will be the main one getting the bulk of the attention from the enemy team comp. Everything else is pretty standard. Coup de grace versus last stand. There's not going to be too many times when you should be in the last stand range, especially when you have two champions that are going to be looking to buff you up as much as possible. But something I will want to talk about is the inspiration tree. A lot of people, especially random YouTubers that just quickly shove this off and call it like a Korean specialty or something like that. You want to take this rune setup because it's the most consistent. When you're thinking about inspiration versus domination versus sorcery, those two other ones, the domination and the sorcery tree, they're going to give you a lot more bang for your buck if you're a lot more active in the early game and you're able to utilize things. Utilizing Nimbus Cloak, utilizing Water Walking or Celerity, utilizing Cheap Shot, utilizing Sudden Impact. Obviously, would be more or less what you're going to take on Zhao, but you can also take Relentless Hunter if you're a little more active and you're maybe a little bit more low elo. But if you're playing 100 games in the rank that you should be in, and your playstyle is dictated by more of a farm heavy, and then look to fight later on, or you're just looking to per se clear, because what Zhao might look to do is a common path would just be 5 camps into topside scud, and then you can test the scud, but you path into priority, and so you want to be trying to create a numbers advantage around the skull crab, which would obviously make Rumble want to path away from you type thing. In that regard, if you're playing that type of playstyle, there's not going to be a lot of action, which means that out of 100 games, if that's your game plan and that's how you want to win games, you're going to get a lot more value out of this rune page. So that was a lot of stuff thrown at you, but essentially, if you understand camps and you understand the macro level of farming and then looking for ganks if they're free, that's when you want to take these, because these are going to always give you value no matter what type of game you're in. You're going to get the boots regardless, and you're always going to be able to get the reduced cooldown on your summoner spells and whatnot, okay? So it's going to give you value regardless, okay? Quick thing to note here, I know you can't really see pings from either team in game, but they're pinging out these two pings, okay? And I guarantee you, yeah, it's Silas, okay? So it's Silas who's pinging those out. He's asking his team if he wants to invade, because one of those things, especially as you go up in higher elo, or if you're low elo and you're against a Silas Smurf, you got to be really careful about these jumps, okay? Because what Silas can do, Silas can hop over the wall into the bush, and then obviously you can use a second Q to try and to grapple onto somebody and stun them, or snare or knock them up rather. And what his team will do is they'll just sit right here. And I know it might be a little bit difficult to see, but they'll just sit out of vision and in fog, and then they'll wait till Silas hits somebody, or they'll just wait for Silas to sit in that bush, and they'll wait till the second E comes up when the cooldown's back up, and then they'll go again. Okay. So that's quickly something to note. If you are in a Silas game, always be cautious of what could happen level 1. But they're going to look to invade here. They're going to 5-man invade. Obviously, you're saying to yourself, okay, wait a minute, you don't want to have any hard CC, but you do have a gap closer and you do have slows. And that's all you really need unless the other team's level 1 is just so OP. But typically, what a support might do is they might work up to this bush and then try and ward this to try and prevent any sort of level 1 cheese, or also to try and prevent the pull. Because at that point, if you're looking to leash for your jungler, what you can do is then say to yourself, hey, I need to go back to lane level 1 because I don't want to miss out on that one minion, because that one minion is actually very important for level 2. Okay, if you miss that level 1 minion, you're going to hit level 2 a little bit later, which is not ideal. Okay, so they are going to use Zhao gap close here, but I want... Okay, so you're going to go back and forth here, but they're going to use Soraka slow as well as Lulu slow, but Lulu's basing here, and why it's really important for Lulu to base is because this late invade is going to happen, okay? They haven't been seen on any rewards, nothing's really going to happen. They're going to wait until later on when they can't really be responded to in terms of their pressure, but Lulu gets pushed in this lane. And when you late invade, you create the possibility of obviously a split map, okay? And when you split the map, you only really want to do so if you can't respond to the pressure happening topside. But when you have a Lulu into a Silas that can push in level 1, you obviously can push out, and then mid lane is back and forth, but we'll talk about why that doesn't really matter. Whereas if you push them out of their bot side jungle, you're going to have tempo over Rumble, and for instance, if you do red Raptors and then path or gank through mid, or just go towards your top side, Lulu is going to be there with priority to help you out, and that's really important to note. Okay, so that's why Lulu needs the base. Fast forward just a bit. They're picking the wave just to make sure that they don't get seen over the wave. Something to note, obviously, is that if you can see in the bot side there, if the entrance there, if you can see the entrance with the minions, you can see it. So right now they're actually going to get seen over. Yeah, they're going to get seen. So they should know this is happening. Soraka looks for Q. They're going to need to take that ward. This is good. They're going to push them out. Rumble's very happy. Again, one of the things that Rumble could have done if they didn't push out this way, and if they would have gone on the Bard for say, like back here, if they would have just dipped on the Rumble, okay, you wouldn't have vision of the Raptors. Rumble could have just done Raptor camp very easily. Actually, let me just quickly see what Rumble started. Yeah, so Rumble started Q. So what he could have done is actually just done Raptors and then path into his top side. This would have helped him a lot with tempo, would have denied the Raptor camps from being taken away for the Xin Zhao. But because they do look to push out, now Rumble has to go do his wolves. Leashless, obviously. But here, I think this is good. We see Ezreal bots, they're not really looking to contest anymore. This is free now. He's going to do Raptors here. And now at this point, he can either gank mid, he can then go top side, or he can play for his bot side, knowing that they're a little bit more of a trade-heavy bot lane, and Soraka is going to want him playing aggressively. But this split map does feel very nice for them. So he's not going to gank mid, doesn't see it, he wants to keep tempo up, sees that Lulu has push, he's going to try and go for his top side. Okay, so he hits it, but then he turns back around. Let's see what happened. I'm looking at bot lane right now, and HP is low, HP is mid, HP is halfway, sorry. But something to note here. So, Bard has no flash, but what we can't see is what the wave looks like, because if the wave is pushing into red side, I guarantee it is, Xin Zhao needs to go bot and then go and try and put his pressure bot side. Because if you're in a split map scenario, and you say, you know what, I don't care about my top side anymore, I have flashes to play around. So now I have Soraka slow. Soraka has flash, right? We're gonna get a guaranteed kill here. So he's gonna try and hit level 3. Actually, I want to quickly talk about something. So leaving up one of these Raptors, one of the small Raptors, I think is very important, especially if you're trying to think about going to contest your top side. One of the most important reasons here is because you're not gonna hit level 3 off of your blue buff. but you will hit level 3 if you do end up taking a small camp and then take your blue buff. So in any regard, you have to take 2 other camps, even if you take Raptors, okay? So it's very important there to note that I do think the better play was just to take and leave 1 up, because you're not going to hit level 3 regardless of how many camps you do. Sorry, regardless of what camp you take, you're going to need to take 2 camps. And as you can see, he kills blue buff, which gives you the most amount of experience, and he's not level 3 yet. So it was more important there to just leave that 1 small Raptor up. But he's going to take this, and he's probably going to look to go gank bot. Okay, so he doesn't see anything. Now, if you're Xin Zhao, you're a jungler in this case, you need to be constantly looking at bot waves, see what's happening. Because if Ezreal uses a key ability here, if he uses his E, for example, you need to be bot lane, you need to take a beeline. Which is actually why I think Xin Zhao probably should have been over on this side and then push it towards the pit. You don't want to push it too deep, because you don't want to walk over a ward, for instance. But I think he just saw Ezreal use E, and so now he's going to come straight for a gank. He's going to flash E. If you're playing Xin Zhao, or if you're playing any... actually, I shouldn't say any jungler. If you're playing Xin Zhao, you want to use your E first, because especially if you have a red buff, you're going to be able to apply this slow, which is going to allow you to run them down a lot easier. It's going to be an easier W to land, and it's just a lot more efficient this way. Go for the ADC 100% of the time. Soraka unfortunately gets the kill with the Comet there. Then he's going to help them push up this wave, try and deny Ezreal as much as possible, while also taxing a little bit with experience-wise, just to make sure you're getting a little bit of a lead. Take Scut, take Wolves. I don't think you should gank mid, especially when Bard just base, because Bard could just make a beeline for mid lane. Doesn't have a ward, isn't going to look to place pressure, but just does Wolves, and then probably bases, or looks to help out mid just in case, because the wave is bouncing back, I think, into... I can't see the wave, unfortunately, but Bard is going to go mid, Rumble is going to go mid. Quick thing to note, whenever you see enemy jungle, always take a look and press tab, see how many camps they've done, because this can tell you right away. He's done his entire top side. Right, 1 or 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, what's he called? 16, 20, 20, and then he's probably left up the small Krug, and then did Scuttle, and then took like a ward or just a CS somewhere in top lane or something like that. He's gonna look at the base, and then he's gonna head straight back bot side. Why is this the case? Well, okay, Rumble has 28 CS. It's very important to note that. But he also knows that his top side camps are still on cooldown, which means that he can go for his bot side camps, but he also is seen going into his bot side right over here. He's gonna go do Raptors, Krugs, and base. Or sorry, into a bot lane gank, because it's the only option he has if you're gonna try and path like this. The other option for him to do is obviously do Krugs, Raptors, then path in the top side. But why is this so favorable? If you take a look at how bot wave is operating right now, bot wave is pushing into red side, which means that eventually Ezreal, especially with no flash, and Barb with no flash, is going to be in an unfavorable position in front of the red side tower. And when you're thinking about Soraka and Varus, they are champions that are enjoying this because they can poke. Right? They're going to outrange the Bard, and they're going to be able to get some sort of HP advantage, especially with that Comet. Okay, so he's probably going to make a beeline straight for bot lane, seeing the wave. If Ezreal's wave were to still be around tower, you could easily take Gromp. The only thing here is that you want to pay attention to where the Rumble is. And as you can see, Rumble did exactly what we were talking about. He did Raptors, Krugs, and then into a bot side cover. He's not necessarily trying to gank, but he wants to make sure that his Ezreal with no flash is going to be able to push this wave in for free. So he looks to sweep. Once he sees no wards, now he has all the time in the world to just sit and play patient. We know that Rumble is bot side. We should have known that even without this ward that I'm guessing Lehen's placed. Taking a little bit of poke that we probably don't need to on the Soraka, but They're going to try and wait. They see Rumble. He's not going to go right away. He's going to try and see until some sort of... Okay, and as soon as Ezreal uses E, we want to go on the Ezreal, right? Rumble uses Flash. Can't necessarily fight here unless we hit some key abilities. Okay, so the big wave. Unfortunately, we missed the W. At this point, we're really happy with how this is going. Obviously, we're getting a very big lead on the Varus. Very nice. We're just going to try and clear. Probably clearing the top side. Nothing to happen bot. Wave is pretty pretty evened out. It's not really going to push any direction until the minions decide. Mid lane went for an all in there. No ult, really important to note. So wolves aren't up, he's going to try and clear his top side again. He might go to Krugs just to try and clear it, or he might just go into top scud. But I think that Krugs need to be reset. He's probably thinking to himself that they're either still resetting or no, they should be reset 100% right now. But he's like, can we contest this? Probably not. Akali has no ult. Okay, this is a little bit awkward. I wish we could press on the Krugs. Maybe that was just what's it called? A bug. Or you know what? Maybe what happened when we saw that. Okay, I'll quickly remember this time. 704. When we see Rumble mid here and we saw 28 CS, he probably just took some CS from top. Would he gank top? So these Krugs are probably level 1. So does he try and clear his bot side, or is he going to look... Oh, what the heck? Oh, he's just going to take mid farm. Sorry, I saw the Akali here, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? And then I'm like, Viego. Okay. So he goes to collect mid wave here. If your Akali has no TP in this case, it's very important to just take this. If it's a very big wave, you want to make sure that gold isn't going to the void, experience isn't going to the void. Very OP for junglers to take experience as well from lane. It's going to give you a lot of a lead, especially when you're thinking about all the nerfs to jungle camps in the recent patches. Bot side's looking to play aggressively. We know that Rumble could be bot side here, so we should try and path accordingly. He might just skip over blue buff here, head straight towards bot. Yep. Now we should be careful because Viego just based. He could just head straight there. Top doesn't have TP. Lulu has TP but no mana, needs to click the wave. He's going to try and look to make a play. So Viego does head straight bot. I think if you are in this higher elo, you should know that this is probably the case, which is why I think Akali makes a big mistake here and doesn't head straight bot side if the pings and the communications are help, right? The only other option here is to just say, okay, if we see Viego dip, because Akali wants to get a lead here, especially after dying. But once you've committed flash, and you've hit the E, you're going to go in, right? Really good ult coming out. Viego might just win this. He has got ult up. Yeah, he's going to kill him. Ooh. Does he get out? Actually, wait, what did he just do there? He smites. He smites there to try and, if you notice, he's still got 1 stack on his starting jungle item. So if you smite here, I think he's trying to make it so he can get red smite, or red buff, sorry, red smite, so that his autos don't do as much damage. Because there's a potential there you could live if you do use skirmishing smite, or red smite, or whatever. But maybe Akali will help out here just a little bit. Flashes, boom. Then Ezreal gets a kill and Akali gets the kill. Okay, so that's nice for Akali to pick up a kill. I don't think it's as worth because you're going to burn flash, but it is worth in the sense that you're getting the wave to push in. However, Rumble is then going to push in that wave. So now I would be scared to be Zhao to go on my bot side here. Rumble might just try to contest this, especially with vision up. Yeah, this might be a little bit int. The better call. Okay, so as soon as we see Rumble topside, this is fine for us. Now we can take our bot side for free, and then potentially go and look to invade his bot side if we think camps are up. Although we could also just do dragon here, trade objectives. But I think the timing is a little bit awkward here. with Soraka being so late, I don't think you can try and contest Dragon because Rumble isn't going to be able to get there in time. So next play is probably Scut, and then into a potential trying to put active pressure on the map. Varus has ult. Akali does not have ult. So we're just going to look to take Dragon here. Lulu's coming down. The only thing to note is obviously that Sylas has TP. But bot lane has Preo. Mid lane has Pryo. This is pretty much a free drag. Rumble's probably just looking to clear. And yeah, nothing too much to display here. Just going to try and clear now. Okay, clears topside. Oh. Akali goes down again. So, only saving grace to your mid lane dying on repeat is that you get to pick up waves on repeat. But Rumble is obviously just one of those champions that can clear, clear, clear. And when Rumble has also been able to pick up farm, you want to try to keep up with pace. So here, he could have either gone and cleared his topside or looked to have gone bot. The only thing you want to take a note is obviously Sylas has TP if you're going to try and make this play. But Sylas backs off. I think he probably could have tried to put pressure bot side. The only problem is obviously Sylas was seen basing. So if he bases and then obviously looks to TP onto this play, it's going to be very bad for Zhao. Right? But then Sylas shows to be back up topside. So then Zhao like, okay, wait a minute. I maybe could have went bot. He just bases, is going to continue to clear. Lulu just died, so he's probably going to pick up that wave. No. Oh, the wave was already dead. Never mind. Wave is already dead, so he doesn't need anything to pick up. Lulu just comes back to lane. But at this point, when you're getting closer to level 9 on mid laners, level 8, level 9, and level 9 in soul laners, the game does tend to shift a little bit more because now it's a lot more, it's a lot less apparent about who's going to get priority. It's a lot more volatile in that sense. Your Lulu is losing lane now. Your Akali is also hard losing lane. Rumble has a lot more ability to be active. So at this point, you want to be jungle tracking as much as you can and try and decide before going to your camps whether or not they're actually you're going to be able to take them. Bot lane is obviously what you want to be playing around, and then deny pressure if you can, which is what he's trying to do here. Going mid. You can't really stop this rift. Okay. But if he can never try and make plays with his bot lane, that's pretty much the only thing he has going for him. Playing with Lulu, if you potentially get into a 2v2 with the Lulu and the Zhao and the Sylas and the Rumble, they're probably just going to hard win it. But we do see an opportunity here to make a little bit of a play. We do so. My guess is this was miscommunication between Viego and Rumble. They were probably trying to make this play. They weren't talking about Soraka ult. Really, really aggressive coming out from Zhao. This is stuff that I like to see. If you know your team's coming, and obviously it looks bad at this point, but you always want to take a look at how close you are in proximity to the rest of your team to try and decide, okay, wait a minute, I want to go this. But after this, you could actually try and go for the bot side here. So Zhao might look to go for either mid plates or Rumble's bot side, especially when you see him going towards Wolves. He might try and see if Raptors are up. Okay, he's only going to try and see if Raptors are up. I think that was a little bit of a misplay, just not even attempting to see if they're up. But he might have a lot of gold, and he might want to reset for, or just clear his bot side camps and try and reset. I think that may have been a missed opportunity, though, especially after getting a decent lead there. Okay, so just clear, and we'll quickly discuss this next dragon play, see how he sets up for it. But right now, he just seems like he's trying to contest bot side river in order to secure vision and help out, because he knows that this next dragon is actually quite important. It's solo queue. They might just not try and give up. Everyone's got gold, right? It's 24k to 24k roughly. Trying to be as active before the drag as possible. He's probably going to look for a base within the next 20 seconds. If there's nothing here, he's probably just going to base. Okay, he sees something. Doesn't quite get it. Still a little bit more gold. He probably needs to reset right now. Okay, this is a bit int. Oh, it's not. That's some damage right there. Okay, the only thing I'm worried about right now is take a look at bot lane. Okay, Bard shows. Never mind. Bard shows, and Bard is bot. Right? So they get the kill on Rumble. He must be sitting on quite a bit of gold right now. So yeah, at that point, the decision here is he thinks he wins the 2v2. They probably know that Viego has no flash. And so trying to play to create some sort of advantage, especially when you know Rumble went topside, and then probably look to another base and then head towards bot. So if we noticed here, actually we know he was because of this. We saw Rumble bot over this ward, so he's just going to come in towards mid. So now we know what he has done. And then I guess Rumble ins here. Okay, Rumble ins here. Yeah. Okay, now it's a free drag. And they don't even need to worry about setup. The only thing I was worried there is that Zhao is probably sitting on a lot of gold. They're not showing the gold count, but I think he is sitting on quite a bit of gold right now. And especially when you're thinking about an early game champion, you want to be having as much active gold as possible. But once you hit that Gorgic or Power Spike, I guess you're chilling. I guess he thinks that he's chilling, which is understandable. Especially if he's seeing numbers on the map, he's seeing Bard's not very active, and he can try and make a play on mid. Silas has TP, the only thing to note, so it's very important to try and always take into account. But it is still a queue after all. So that's going to be it for taking a look at what sort of decisions he's trying to make. Hopefully you took something away, especially when it comes to playing early game aggression and trying to fight, level one. And then also some adaptations you can throw in there, especially if you're thinking about how bot lanes interact. Because if this bot lane were to be a bit different and be less non-interactive, and let's say, for instance, I don't know, this support were to be a Yumi, obviously it's a lot different, and the game plan needs to change accordingly, okay? That's why it's really important to always take into account what lanes want to do and what champions look for win cons, okay? So that's going to be it. Hopefully you take something away. Thanks so much, and cheers.